Where the sunrise breaks the pine.
Hey guys, welcome back to True Impact Outdoors. It's been a while since I posted. It's been hay season, first cutting here at Serenity Ranch, and so it was all hands on deck. We've been getting that first cutting up, getting hay moved off, fertilized back on the fields, sprayed, all the stuff that goes along with growing hay. But anyway, I got a shoot coming up, the Roman shoot, clay pigeon shoot. It's 1,000-yard competition where we'll be shooting clays from 100 yards out to 1,000. And I know I've talked to you about reloading new horny brass. Well, today I'm going to load up some of my brass that I've shot one time. Generally, I get the best standard deviation and extreme spread with those type of casings that's been shot through my chamber once. I can reduce my standard deviation by, I think, normally the average on new cases is around 7 to 8, and I can get down to 5 pretty consistently with a once fired case. So anyway, there's a little bit of difference. On a new case, obviously we don't run it through the resizing die. I literally just load them as is. But on a fired case, there's a few more steps. So I'm going to show you. I haven't talked about removing the spent primer, but I have a little tool, hand tool, depriming tool. You can deprime them on the press, but literally you just slide that in there, pull the trigger. It puts your spent primer in the little cup and it removes it. That's pretty simple. But I do that before I put them in the bins, and each one of these fired cases goes in an appropriate bin. I have a bin for new brass, first firing, second firing, and after the third firing it goes into the recycle bin. But anyway, I take some RCBS spray. It's at a case slick. I'll spray it in the bottom of this tray. I will roll the cases around real good. Then I have a little, it's an older brush that I've kept in here for years, but you want to lube the inside of this neck, lube each one, and I drop it over in this next little section. But anyway, you get these all lubed up, and once you do that, and I won't bore you with lubing all of them, but let me get them all lubed and I'll come back with you. So I got all these cases lubed up. The next thing I do is I take just a paper towel. I'll take the case in my fingers and I will rub any lube off of the neck and shoulder of it. And so I'll do that on each one. Make sure I get all the lube off of that. That gives me a real consistent shoulder bump when I resize this brass. If you have some that has more lube on the neck than others, it will push it back, put creases in the necks and along the shoulder, but you'll wipe all that old lube off. And so let me do that and we'll come right back and we'll continue on. Alright, I got all the necks wiped down and the shoulders wiped clean. So next thing we will do, we will get out our Hornady Max grade die. We will pick the one that has a decapping pin sticking out of it. This here is to resize the brass. This here is to seat the bullet. So we will go ahead and insert our die into our press. It comes and it tells you on the box which shell holder to use for each caliber and cartridge. This is a number 1. You raise the arm, snap your shell holder in, and now you're ready to insert the case and start to resize each one of these. It's important to use consistency in how you pull the handle and how long you pause at the bottom. That will cause difference in your shoulder bump. If you get into a certain cadence, I would stay with that. This is how I do it. I'll place a shell in the shell holder, pull it down, come all the way to the bottom, pause for a second, come up, one smooth stroke. And I'll do that on each and every one of them. I don't get into a rush. I try to stay very consistent, very methodical in my motions. Almost like you're a machine. Anyway, I'll go ahead and resize all these and we'll get to the next step. Alright guys, I wiped all the lube off of these. I was going to show you this Hornady comparator gauge and how we check how much we're pushing the shoulder. This is a fired piece of brass that come out of the chamber. I'll put it in here, zero it out, so it's zeroed there. I don't know if you can see that. And then what I'll do is I'll take a piece of brass that I've resized and see, it bumped it, it pushed that back 0.003, 3 thousandths. And that's what we shoot for. You will see just a little bit of inconsistency. Sometimes it'll be 2, but it's pretty consistent if you wipe all that lube off of the neck and the shoulder. It'll be very close, and I'll check those just probably every 5th one or so, and just check to make sure it's pushing them back consistently. And but I had never had any issues with that. So next, what we will do, put up our containers here. I trim all mine, so when you fire them and resize them, they will grow. And you got to re-zero that back to 0. But anyway, they should not be over 1.91, and that is 1.919. So that's too long. And they'll all be a little different. So what I'll do is I'll trim them. I have a layman's case trimmer. It's already set up. And so I will trim each case. And I won't bore you, but I'll trim a few just to show you what I do. Just, I put it in there and I turn it about 180 degrees a couple times, and it'll trim that case. And that will be 1.91, 1.91 on the button. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim all these, and I'll come right back to you. All right, so I got all these cases trimmed. Another reason I reload them 3 times is, if you read the Hornady manual, it says after the 3rd trimming, you removed enough brass that it's probably not wise to reload anymore. So another reason I load them 3 times and then toss them to the recycle bin is I trim each one. And mainly because of the consistency in my extreme spread and my standard deviation. When I'm shooting competition, I need to have as close to perfect as ammo as I can, and in order to have great ammo, you need consistent neck tension and consistent neck lengths, because you can get some extreme spreads that are way more than what would be needed to hit small targets at long range. And so that's why I do that. If you were just using them for hunting rounds, you need to reload with a purpose. You certainly very well may not have to trim every firing. You have to measure each one and find out if it's within the specifications of the manual. But at any rate, now I would chamfer and deburr these. I would prime them, drop a powder charge, and seat a bullet just like I would the new brass. So the rest of the process is the same. Another step I do is I go back over it with paper towels to make sure I clean any and all lube off of the brass. I don't want that in my chamber. And also, I will inspect every case pretty close to make sure there's no case head separations, make sure there's no split necks, any damage to the brass that I would feel would be unsafe to shoot. And so, and also, I was going to show you, I build a dummy round with each cartridge, and that's what, I'll fire around, and then that's how I'll put that in there, and I'll push that shoulder back using that Hornady comparator till I get my die set to where it's just pushing back about 3/1000ths. And normally, if you come down, you can feel it's just barely touching mine on mine. Yours may be a little different, but you have to put the case in there. I would start with it not touching, resize it, use the comparator, and see how much it pushed from your fired case. And then if it doesn't, loosen that off, screw the seating die or the resizing die down just a hair, do it again. And and that's how I get the 3/1000ths. And we'll talk more about setting up the dies a little later in a different video. But anyway, these are going to be used in the upcoming competition, and we will see how they do. I will put a few of my standard deviations of once fired brass on there, just so you can see what a 20 or 30 round string looks like. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this little short video on reloading fired brass, and hope it was beneficial to you. Y'all have a good day.